Sabah everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm really excited to be able to share with you guys my experience of using the brand new OnePlus 8. I've had the device for the last couple of weeks and I want to share with you guys some of the main things that really excite me about the new features that they brought into the brand new OnePlus 8, the new colors, the new customizations, and of course share with you guys what comes in the box and, overall, how is the OnePlus 8 comparing to some of the other devices that we've had in the past. This is TK and this is the brand new OnePlus 8 in 2020. Like and subscribe and make sure you hit that bell icon so that you're always notified whenever we have new videos on the channel. So what we have in front of us is essentially what came to me in the box. We have a couple of cases, the sandstone bumper case in cyan color, the nylon bumper case in black. This is a little bit different than we had the carbon case with the 8 Pro. Make sure if you guys would like to know a little bit more about the OnePlus 8 Pro to check out my other video that I posted there, as well as use the coupon in the description below to save up to $10 on your order from OnePlus, or directly if you're getting it from Amazon to be able to support the channel. Definitely the device looks absolutely fantastic as far as the actual color. The box itself is pretty standard from what you actually expect getting in there. We obviously have just some nice information here just for like the pamphlets and all the normal things that you normally expect, the stickers as well. There was a cover on this device. Of course, we have a USB-C to USB Type-A, and of course the Warp Charge 30T charger that comes in the box. It seems like the OnePlus 8 does not come with a free case, where the OnePlus 8 Pro does come with a free case, but you're able to pick up cases directly from them, as well as they also do provide a screen protector that's installed on the retail unit. My unit did not come with one, so just be aware, if you don't see a screen protector, it doesn't mean that it doesn't come with it. Of course, when it comes to the actual cases, let's go ahead and check them out. First one, as I mentioned to you guys, this is a bumper case, but this is also the sandstone material if you're familiar with some of those cases from OnePlus. Fits it very, very nicely, and of course, obviously it's going to shade some whole bunch of things here. You can still see some of the colors here, the interstellar glow color here. Keep in mind that there is another color called the glacier green, with a couple of specific colors that are made specifically for Verizon in the US, the polar silver as well as the onyx black. Again, this version will be picked up directly from either OnePlus or directly from Amazon, as well as T-Mobile and Verizon in their respective markets. Looks very nice, everything is open, and of course just looks really, really good on our device. And of course the other case is actually nice. It has a smooth fabric on the inside. It's not as, basically, I would say it's not the same material. It's actually definitely much more, if you can feel the ridges, it's definitely more grippy. We have an opening, of course, for everything. It doesn't really add that much as far as the bulk. It does provide protection for the actual optics, as well as opening for all the bottom ports. So bottom firing speaker with the earpiece to give us that stereo speakers, and of course the 6.55-inch display running at 90 Hertz just looks absolutely fantastic. Now let's start talking about the actual specifications that we have here. The cameras that we have on the back are basically a 48 megapixel sensor, a 16 megapixel sensor ultra wide, and a 2 megapixels macro lens. So we have an actual macro lens present here on the OnePlus 8, where on the OnePlus 8 Pro we have two 48s in 8 megapixel telephoto and a color filter. So slightly different as far as the customizations, and of course this beautiful color that you see here, and it just ever so changes in the light. So depending what you're looking on it changes. It is definitely very, very reflective and definitely very, very prone to fingerprints. Volume rocker, and of course power button and the trigger, the slider option right there. This device does support dual SIMs in the unlocked model, and of course will support 5G in the US. If you are going to pick up the Verizon version, that'll be the only version of the OnePlus 8 supporting millimeter wave as far as 5G in the US. All the other models that you get pick up from either T-Mobile or OnePlus or even Amazon will be supporting the sub-6 5G technology in the US. Microphone at the top, again 6.55-inch display, 90 Hertz at 1080p. Pretty much what we normally expect to see from OnePlus devices again in the US. Keep in mind obviously that this is the standard model of the OnePlus. The overall experience that you get here, there's two different versions. There's the 8 128 and the 12 and 256. That'll be basically comparable, available in $699 or $799 depending on the market that you're able to pick it up in. It is again on 5G, currently on T-Mobile, and it does support voice over LTE as well as Wi-Fi calling on T-Mobile. So honestly, one of the best experiences you can get on a smartphone today. I obviously installed some games in there, PUBG, Arena of Valor, Real Racing, and of course TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, all of the stuff that I normally use. Everything here runs pretty smoothly. Again, 90 Hertz is definitely nothing to sneeze at. Just keep in mind that this is definitely going to be able to run either 90 or 60 frames per second, depending on your configuration. Toggles on the top are pretty much standard. You have all the same toggles that we saw with the OnePlus 8 Pro. Screen recording, Zen mode, hotspot, NFC, the dark theme 2.0, and of course some of the main optics here, the 16 megapixel sensor on the front. Last but not least, we have the ability of customizing under the display with advanced, the same thing, 90 Hertz. We don't have a way of changing the resolution of the display since this is a 1080p panel, but we have the ability of customizing it so if we want to hide the camera or keep it the way it is right there. Night mode, reading mode, and of course vibrant color effect, you can turn that on if you'd like to, and that just gives you the ability of getting much better colors present here on the display. Ambient display, no always on display sadly, and the space scaling as well as status bar configuration here. We do have Dolby Atmos and as well as stereo speakers, so it is built in here and you can customize it. Live caption is something that if you'd like to be able to use it, you can turn it on here, and then of course once you do, it'll be present right below the volume rocker. By default it is not turned on, so definitely nice to have. And of course if you like to use it, it'll work really good if you just turn off the sound on any video and it'll just allow the caption to basically transcribe everything on the go. And of course we have buttons and gestures and customizations to be able to change the theme, app notifications, security, and all of that stuff. That's normal stuff. And when it comes down to the actual about device, we can definitely see the different comparisons here. This one is running at a 20:9 aspect ratio. As you can see, it's definitely a little bit thinner than what we see here with the other one. We have obviously the 90 Hertz, basically a display at 1080p, which is similar to what we have here. But we have here is a 14:16 and a 2, and here we have a 14:16 and a 12. So you notice that we actually have a slightly different camera configuration here. 12 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of internal storage as compared to the 8 gigs of RAM and 128, again depending on the model you're able to pick up. Android 10.0 IN 2015 is the model number with Oxygen OS 10.5.2, and here we obviously have Android 10.0 with the model numbers HD 1905. Both of course supporting Android 10.0 gestures, and we'll be receiving the latest specifications as far as the security patch updates directly from OnePlus. Now for a quick comparison between this one and the OnePlus 8 Pro, keep in mind there's a few things that you want to keep in So for a quick comparison between the OnePlus 8 and the OnePlus 8 Pro, we have a 4300 mAh battery here with the X55 modem and the Snapdragon 865. We don't have any IP rating on this device. On the right, we have the Snapdragon 865 with the X55 modem, an IP68 rating with a 4500 mAh battery, wireless charging and reverse wireless charging. Again, the price point does reflect the different specifications. We also have a quadruple camera setup here with the color filter at the top, 248 megapixel sensor and an 8 megapixel sensor on the back, which is a little bit different than the triple camera setup that we have here. Otherwise, we have pretty much the same button configuration, dual SIM support on both, sub-6, basically 5G supported on both of these. Unless you're purchasing the 8 directly from Verizon, you're going to be getting sub-600 5G technology, and both are supported on T-Mobile with wireless calling as well as voice over LTE out of the box. When we compare it to the OnePlus 7T from last year, you'll notice that the overall aesthetic is very similar. They're both longer form factor, although the camera setup did change, so we went away from that circular options that we have in the back, and now we obviously have the more straightforward options. Verizon does actually have a couple of colors that are more unique at launch at this point, which is basically the Polar Silver as well as the Onyx Black. And the two that you're able to pick up directly from OnePlus's website will be the Glacier Green and the Interstellar Glow, which is what we have here. So unfortunately, no blue color at this point for the OnePlus 8, but definitely looking forward to seeing that. Again, bigger battery at 4300 milliamp, and of course, no IP rating at this time. Now, of course, we definitely need to talk about the cameras, the UI, the overall experience. Again, we have a 48 megapixel sensor in the back, so if I flip over here, where the OnePlus 8 Pro, we have the ability of switching between the wide-angle lens and the standard focal length. Here, for the most part, we're jumping in standard just because that's the only 48 megapixel sensor. We have a wide-angle lens, a standard focal length, and a telephoto lens that we're able to use. And of course, we have video mode, slow motion mode, panorama, time-lapse. Let's go and swipe up. Slow motion, time-lapse. For the most part, same options that we've seen before. Let's go ahead and jump back real quick into photo mode. Again, 12 megapixel sensor, and of course, the ability of jumping into that dedicated macro lens that we have on the back of this device. As far as the settings here with the resolutions, same thing as the 8 Pro, 4K to 60 frames per second is the maximum resolution, and then 1080p at 240 frames per second. We don't have any 8K or any kind of 4K supported video on the front-facing camera. If we switch over to the front-facing camera, it's pretty much stuck to 1080p at 30 frames per second, and that's going to be the main configuration that you have here. Let's go ahead and jump in real quick to some samples, showing you guys some videos taken directly from this device. And of course, I want to mention to you guys that with the back-facing sensor, the stabilization is capable of going all the way up to 4K 30 frames per second, even on the OnePlus 8. Now, using the front-facing sensor, the maximum resolution that we have here is 1080p at 30 frames per second. I'm not sure if there will be an update that will provide us with a higher refresh rate, but again, 4K 60 frames per second and 4K 30 stabilized on the back-facing sensor. On the front-facing sensor, for the most part, it's going to be 1080p And it should be pretty good for front-facing quick selfies. And you guys can let me know, of course, how the audio is on the basically microphones and how was it while I was walking. So this is a sample of the back-facing sensor using the stabilization option that we have here. And now with the video resolution jumping up to 4K at 30 frames per second. So we're not limited to 1080p. This should be a pretty good example, obviously, of audio and video playing as I'm walking around and how the stabilization is working. Again, only works on the back-facing sensor. And one of the other modes that we have here is the 4K 60 frames per second, and this is more of a cinematic mode. So let's go ahead and just pan out a little bit to the sky. So it's a little bit overcast today, but overall what you're expected to get here obviously is just a wider frame and of course the support of 4K 60 frames per second on the brand new OnePlus 8 using the main sensor on the back, the 48 megapixel sensor that we have there. And of course, for a quick audio sample, we're going to be playing Alex Crindo Jumbo for an NCS release directly, just to be able to get an experience of how the stereo speakers are playing. So as you could expect, definitely great audio and definitely loud. Now, not as loud as the 8 Pro, but definitely very good as far as the audio experience. Now, when it comes to gaming, I'm actually putting in front of you guys a quick chart that's showing some of the experiences you should be able to expect as it stands right now. Now, this device obviously just got released today, so we'll definitely be able to see some more optimizations to run and hopefully having more games supporting the 90 hertz refresh rate on this device. So definitely keeping it here, but with the faster RAM and the faster internal storage that we have with UFS 3.0, you shouldn't have any problem enjoying basically overall the best experience as far as opening and closing applications, but also gaming on this device. Very, very nice, and of course, very, very fast. One of the things that I'm really excited about having the OnePlus 8 in the US this year is the fact that last year at this time, we only had one version of the OnePlus line of devices. So they released the OnePlus 7 and the OnePlus 7 Pro, but the OnePlus 7 Pro came to the US, but the other model did not. And I actually ended up having to import that into the US for me to be able to use it. And it's mostly because I feel like there are always going to be somebody that wants to be able to get that OnePlus experience, that fast experience, fast RAM, fast internal storage, great cameras, great display, fast refresh rate, but may not want to be able to go to the ultra premium version of the device, which is the OnePlus 8 Pro is going to provide us. And last year we only had the OnePlus 7 Pro. So if you're considering picking up a brand new OnePlus device in 2020, I would say that the brand new OnePlus 8 provides you with some of the best experiences to a certain point. Obviously, we don't have wireless charging, and we're not going to be able to get some of that functionality with an update, but it is definitely going to give you the best that OnePlus has to offer as far as a device that gives you the OnePlus experience. Obviously, fast everything from charging to basically display, gaming, all of that stuff is going to be really, really good. If you're already picked up the OnePlus 7T from last year, so at the end of 2019, I probably wouldn't necessarily say that this is very much going to be a big upgrade for you. But if you had the OnePlus 7 Pro from last year and you want to be able to pick up, let's say, a device at around $699, again, the OnePlus 8 will retail about $699 and $799 depending on the model that you're getting, available from both Amazon, OnePlus's website, T-Mobile, as well as Verizon. And of course, in different colors and depending where you're getting it from. So overall, great, fast 5G technology, sub 600 with everything except for the Verizon model that will support the millimeter wave. And of course, a lot of other things coming on. And what I would probably end up doing is doing more videos for you guys, showcasing some of the specifications about the OnePlus 8. But I'd love to have you guys input, of course, of what to focus on. So please comment in the display, well, below the video here. And while you're doing that, make sure you hit that like button and of course that bell so that you're always notified whenever we have new videos on the channel. Thank you very much for the support. I'll see you guys in the next video and hope you're doing well.